Good morning, Open Heart. It is wonderful to be with you this morning and to have the privilege and the honor to bring the message today. Our theme this month is Partnership with the Divine, and my talk title today is Use Daily. So wonderful Renee Crone, from our family here at Open Heart, invited me to be her guest on her YouTube channel, Tarot Love Community. And that conversation really served as the foundation and the inspiration for my talk today. Renee wanted to know what I meant by tarot living because my tarot business is called Tarot Living with Manasa. And as part of that wonderful conversation that followed, I shared these stories. As a traditional minister, whether as the youth pastor, the associate pastor, the assistant minister, or as the senior minister, what do you think was my least favorite Sunday? It was Easter Sunday. Easter Sunday was my least favorite Sunday at church. And let me tell you why. Because the church was full of people who didn't know what they were doing. Now, remember, I was a pastor at an AME church. And so the AME church has a lot of liturgy and a lot of liturgical beauty, standing, sitting, responding. And so on Easter Sunday, you have folks who ain't been in church since the last Easter Sunday. They don't know what they're doing. The parking lot is messed up. The bathrooms are messed up. It's a mess. And if you have never been on the backside of ministry of a church, it's hard to understand what goes into putting a service together. That when you show up and everything goes flawlessly, you don't know the amount of effort that was put into that. And Easter just destroys all that. Or makes it extra hard. It's like all hands on deck plus some extra people. And so, but it wasn't really the people or what they didn't know. It was sort of their attitude. And what I mean by that is similar. One time when I was the senior minister at my small church, this young woman and her son came to the church, and I hadn't seen him in a long time, and I was so excited to see him and wanted to touch base with her. And come to find out, why did she come to church that Sunday? Because her son had gotten in some kind of trouble, and they were going to court that week. So, of course, they wanted to make an appearance at God's house, right? And even in my tarot living business, because there's a consistency with my messaging, is everyone knows, do not ask me for a tarot reading and say, are my ex and I getting back together? I won't make my usual responses because they involve the F word. But, before you started that relationship, did you get a tarot reading? No. You come in at the end. So you show up to church one Sunday a year, or the Sunday before you go to court, or after everything's blown up, now you want to get a tarot reading. Spirituality, whether it's Christian spirituality, New Thought spirituality, or pagan occultic spirituality, it's not a spare tire or an afterthought, or like I didn't go to church one Easter and someone said, oh, you're going to hell. It's like, it's not my fire insurance policy. Spirituality, in my opinion, is supposed to be a part of your and my daily life. It's something that we use daily. And so in our remaining time together, I want to encourage us that in our partnership with the divine, and that our divine connection is to be accessed, embodied, and used daily. So you say, what is the dosage then, if we're going to use this daily? Or how do we use our divine connection daily? Well, I think that question is simpler, or the answer is very simple. It's start with the basics. One, what is one of the basic concepts? That all that the divine, all that the goddess, all that spirit, all that source is within me, within you, within us now, and is available to us. Ernest Holmes says, I live in faith that there is a presence and a power greater than I am that nurtures me and supports me in ways that I could not even imagine. I know that this presence is all-knowing and all-power and is all right where I am. That right now we have access, the availability of the divinity, of partnering with the divine is available right now, right here. What does that look like? Well, let's go to the Mahabharata, which is a story, a sacred text from Hinduism. And I didn't realize until my research for that much of the Bhagavad Gita, which is like the Bible sort of, of Hinduism comes out of the conversations that are happening here. So, people always having wars. And so this prince is in a war, and he's getting ready to lead his people. And this is after a whole bunch of other stuff happened. And the person who's driving his chariot is being supportive and giving him all these spiritual lessons and giving him all these things. And the guy is so focused on the outside, so looking out and thinking the power is out there, that eventually his driver has to stop and reveal himself. And the driver reveals himself to be Lord Krishna, none other than Lord Vishnu's later incarnation as Krishna, that God himself, God was in the chariot with him. And he was so focused on God outside and can I do this and what's going to happen, that God was right there with him and he didn't even know it. And so for us in our daily circumstances, are we seeing the God within? And then as we interact with circumstances, good or bad, because it's our view of it that makes it good or bad, are we seeing the divine? Are we seeing God, spirit, universe in that? And then we act from that place. Another example of that is the road to Emmaus. So this is the narrative after the death and resurrection of Master Teacher Jesus, or the narratives along that path, that some people were heading out to Emmaus, and they're all talking about what happened, and Master Teacher Jesus comes upon them, and of course they don't recognize, and it's like, what y'all talking about? You're like, where you been, brother? You been under a rock? And they tell him as they're walking on the road, and they're going on, and during their conversation, Master Teacher Jesus gives them a Bible study, puts on a clinic, on this is why this, and this is why this, and this is why this is why this. And then after the whole understanding, the Bible study or a seminary class, they're like, oh, and boom, Master Teacher Jesus is gone. And they said, did not our hearts burn? Again, the presence of the divine is with us in every person, in every act, in every communication, and it's available to us then. We don't have to go to this special place, or, I don't have my crystals on today, but, don't need the crystals. That it's here, right here, in our hearts, within this glorious being. And that as a spiritual person, I have the choice every day to say, I am going to be in partnership with the divine. And before I step out of my bed or step out of my house, I am divine. And I'm conscious that with me at all times is that presence. So number one is that the divine is available to you and I all the time. Secondly, I not only have connection to the divine, I have the opportunity to partner daily with the divine. Ernest Holmes puts it this way: there is one power in the universe, and we can all use it. There's only one. So when we have access to all that God is. Think of the people that inspire us and motivate us, people that you and I admire, and we think of them as one of a kind. They're the exception. There's something special about them. But the truth is, them, they, and us have the same connection and the same access. We are all radiant lights of God. And instead of seeing those people as somehow above us and they're special, and that's why they do that. I'll let Ernest Holmes take it from here. I love this quote. Jesus was not the great exception. Hear me now. Jesus was not the great exception. Jesus was the great example. That Jesus is an example of what we could be doing every day. Master Teacher Jesus said himself, you will do greater than I have done. Master Teacher Jesus showed us in every situation how to do the very thing, that power and presence is available to us. He, Krishna, Buddha, Ernest Holmes, Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, Emma Curtis Hopkins, they showed us. They're not some kind of super powerful, magical people. They were those things, but that's not, we are that same. And so the power and the majesty and the magic and the miracles that they had in their lives, that is available to us. It's a conscious use, a choice daily. And then what is our third thing? So first, let me take a look back. First, I said that all the divine, the goddess, spirit, source is available to me. And then not only do I have the connection with the divine, but I have the opportunity to partner with that, to use it to my advantage, to use that to create and live my best life, to use that to be a source of healing, to use that to be a beneficial presence on this planet. And then what is the third basic? That love is the foundation and the source of living in daily partnership with the divine. Love is the key. Love opens the door. Love is the door. Love is the foundation. Ernest Holmes puts it this way: I know that in love there can be no separation, for love unites, love sustains, and protects its own. Daily use of our divinity, of our partnership with the divine, requires that love be our foundation and our source for thinking, our source for acting and for interacting. Love in divine partnership is the source of our way of being. The text from the New Testament puts it this way: Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God, and everyone who knows love has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. So don't get mad at me. It's right there out of the text. You don't have to tell me you're a spiritual person operating in partnership with the divine or divinely connected. How I see love in, as, and through you and around you will let me know. Love shows the way. Love is the evidence. So again, do you love? And loving people doesn't mean you have to be a doormat and let them treat you any kind of way, but it's seeing the divine in them. And if you have to keep a healthy boundary from them, that's good. I keep healthy boundaries from people all the time, but I still love them. I still love the divine in them, and I know that even from that healthy distance, from my mental health, from my physical health, from my psychological health, I can still love them. Daily use. All that the goddess is with and available to me. I not only have a connection to the divine, it's not only with me, but it is available to me and it's accessible to me to use in creating and living my best life. And love is the foundation for the source of daily living, daily use, and partnership with the divine. Daily use of my true self, of your true self, of our true self opens the door to live life and to live it more abundantly. I close our time together with this quote from Ernest Holmes. Life is not just something to be endured, it's to be lived in joy, in a fullness without limit. Use daily and live a life full of joy, fullness, and unlimited. Blessings and namaste.